Now we've got to work together again, and we've got to now try to work a little on our key messages. So what we suggest with Deirdre to do is to propose a sort of a mind map over the different ideas that were shared during, especially yesterday, but we added something this morning that seems to us very important. So I suggest that we all look at that map. First of all, maybe to add different things that you would like to see on that map, and then to work in very small groups without changing the organization of the room. Just talk with your neighbors, group of 3-4 persons, so as to propose 2 or 3 or something that you wish to propose as a key message that will, of course, work off that. And
okay.
yes.
Sounds good. So as Pascal explained, this is a bit of a brainstorming that we spoke about this morning together of issues that we saw coming up in our discussions yesterday and today. As always from PLAs, we draft these key messages, message clés, that we put on our public website that you can share within your ministries, that we can share to educational organizations. So basically, work together in small groups. We don't have time to rearrange the room. So if you just bunch together in groups of 3 or 4, maybe take 5-7 minutes to discuss together, and then we'll have a small kind of plenary check-in before we have our wind up and our lunch to go. Okay? So bunch together, have a look at the slide. What's missing? What would you like to highlight from that? So what can we pull out in the key messages? Anything that strikes you, any needs you have, if you think at European level that we should be focusing on zooming in on a couple of areas. Are there any research that we can be doing, any areas that you want further cooperation? That's also something important to put in the key messages. So we take about 5 to 7 minutes just with your neighbours, and then we'll meet again in plenary. Okay, is that clear to everyone?
Thank you.
Okay, we'll give you just a few more minutes to finish off, and then we'll have a plenary wrap-up. You've got to go to this, yeah. 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 Okay. Okay, everybody, we're going to have a little wrap-up session now. Just to let you know that there's literally lunch to go. There's a pile of bags outside with sandwiches that Pascal and the team have kindly arranged. So anyone that has to leave for airports or for trains, the lunch is literally outside the door. Okay? So, yeah. Oh yeah, Annika's hard at work over there, writing down the key messages. So we have some boards just to capture some key points. So I don't know if anybody wants to kick off. Annika, you're looking prolific over there. Anybody else? Jan Peter, do you want to kick off?
Kick off and kick off. Whatever. We talked about the need to have what we call a safe learning digital environment, which includes also an identity management system, like you presented earlier here. Includes the e-safety issues and privacy issues. And I think this is kind of basic that should be for in order to say, to be able to tell students and the parents, this is a safe place to be. We had some, I think it addressed the issue about open education. And there was something about procurement here. I'm a little bit uncertain whether this will be on the table, but I think there was some kind of invitation also to look at procurement. Yes. Is there something more?
We talk also about addressing some special policy to school leaders, school principals, because at the end of the day, those are people who are allowing teachers to go for trainings or organizing environment at school for e-safety and so on, and about measuring impact. It's good to have those data because we have lots of research in many countries. They are sometimes in local languages, to put it together somewhere at some final findings to compare it when planning the policy. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. About the empty box measuring impact, because I was the entrepreneur and the manager, and when somebody asked me for the money, I always said, how you will measure the impact? So that this is empty box. I mean, what will be the criteria? For example, lowering unemployment or addressing the skills which cannot be automated. There must be some criteria, otherwise there are some studies who say that the digital education doesn't add any value in there. So especially in teaching the skills which cannot be automated in the next 5 or 10 years, or lowering unemployment, getting people the jobs. Also, it's a lifelong education, so they include aging population in there, 50 plus and so on. So that is which I don't see it here. And then there's very little about the infrastructure, especially not about the building the internet connection, but also last miles, also the support of the teacher, how that will be organized more effectively than it is so far. And the last thing is, as usually I see too many, let's say, key messages. That means we have none. So some of them are really important, some of them are less important, so we may prioritize it some way.
Great, Thomas.
Thank you very much. I really agree what the Czech colleague said. For me, it's this empty box of measuring impact. It's a little bit painful, but there is metadata on the facilitation part. So, and we are facing the age of big data. So we are going to have a lot of data. So measuring impact would be, I wouldn't see an empty box, I hope. And the second thing, what I also agree that we have a little bit too many messages, and just turned to my mind that if you know the term change cube, from Professor Mintzberg, who is a management advisor. Change cube is a little bit different. It's a 3D object, not only key messages, but you have formal and informal ideas. Just to give you one example, when you buy gifts for schools or teachers, sometimes you buy umbrellas. But my idea is, why don't you buy pen drives? There is a huge difference between the usage of an umbrella and of buying. It was in a Hungarian project. Buying pen drives gives you a better future.
Okay, on this side of the room, you guys over here, biggest group. Annika, you've been writing.
Yeah, well, we wanted to add in resources, that bottom up was important, search engines, I'm not sure that maybe mentioned somewhere else, and that digital is a small part of the lesson plan. And then we had an additional discussion about the aspect of democratic safety in the material, depending on who is controlling what when it's coming down. We thought that was important to add. Jens, do you want to elaborate? Maybe?
Well, the discussion was if you have government putting everything into place, it could also act as a gatekeeper. And we have seen recently, unfortunately, even in European countries, where certain governments have been putting things in place where they might want to avoid access to certain content on the internet, which they consider as not okay. So we obviously can think about what's happening in Turkey, but you could also put it like this: if what happens in 5 years' time, if the Front National wins the elections in France, could they use this architecture as a gatekeeper to block certain content when they have another interpretation of liberté than the current one?
Okay, anybody over here? At this side. Anything else you want to add? Paula, anything? Perrine? Anya, you want to add something?
No, just to reinforce something that has been said already, we also discussed in our group of 4 the bubble on measuring impact, which was still empty. So the importance of really going into measuring the impact of the use of resources, not just frequency, but impact on learning outcomes by age and key competences and so on.
À compléter. Any other last points? As always, you'll get a chance to input on the key messages. Yeah, myself and Jan and Pascal and the team will work on them, an early draft, and then everybody gets to see them and give your input before they're published.
Yeah, I just wanted to, or would like to see the data protection issue, because it's still evolving with the general data protection regulation. And I think we also heard that for learning analytics, it could be relevant. And Tomasz mentioned the big data thing. So I think this could be an issue which will come up in the future again. Maybe that's why we should introduce it.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for that, Katerina. Anything else, Pascal? Anything you want to add?
I think I will, of course, will work on that mind map so that to help us to build the key messages later, and we'll have taken notes. So if you want to add anything else after the PLA, I think it's still possible. Thank you. Well, it's time to say goodbye, I think. Alain is not here. So he's giving an interview. That's when you become famous, you have to give interview. That's right. Well, I would like to say, of course, thank you to all of you to participate and be such a good participants to that PLA. And we were very honored to have you here. We spent a very nice time together. I think we worked quite well. Thank you very much for your work here, your involvement here in that PLA. And I think there will be other PLAs now. There will be number 9, probably. So Deirdre is going to say a few words. I think both Alain and I, will say goodbye, but see you another time. Probably you will be able to meet Alain on other occasions, I suppose so. And yes, I would like to say also thank you to Cecilia and Fantine, who have been there with us all day long, all night long nearly, to work with us. So thank you very much. They were very discreet, but certainly we can rely on them, and Perrine too, and all the team that was here. I didn't introduce everybody, but we were coming here in a team. All right. Alain?
And maybe, I don't know, I'm sorry for I have to leave, I hope also you enjoy and you profit and want to go further with us about what we've done and what we will do and what we will do with you. We hope so. It's very important for us. And maybe, I don't know if you say that you are expecting, if you want, we can go to the spot des usages after the lunch, if you are here. If you have time, we can go there at, I think, 1 o'clock, or 1:15, Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So just to wrap up, as usual, there's some kind of business to get through. If anyone has any paperwork that they still have to give me for reimbursements, I'm the person. If not, Liz will be in touch if there's any missing documents. My colleague Liz Vester London. As you know, we're moving to a new system, AGM. Good luck. I hope it's okay. When the Commission builds systems, they're not always the most user-friendly, but anyway, fingers crossed. So if you have any questions on the new AGM registration system for meetings, please get in touch with Liz, Anuska, or myself. The invitations for Bulgaria have just gone out this morning. So as usual, we'll send a feedback survey because we like to continuously improve how we organise these meetings. These meetings are important as a platform to you to come together and share, so we're completely open to ideas for improvement. So that will be sent on Monday, so you can give us some feedback on the last day and a half. The presentations will be available on Dropbox and through Yammer as well. In terms of our next dates, we have Bulgaria. Obviously, Bulgaria has the presidency of the EU. You've just got an invitation to our next plenary meeting in Sofia on the 18th of April. And then we have our major presidency conference on digital creativity, which is nicely linked into our theme of digital resources here. So we hope to see many of you and your colleagues in Sofia. Our colleague Silvia Kancheva from the ministry is here, who's organising the meeting. We also have PLA 9 or PLA 1, if we're going to start the numbers again under the new mandate, coming up in Luxembourg, actually. We've been talking to Serge, who had to leave a little while ago. But the topic will be something around the theme of making gaming play in education. So we'll be in touch on that. We're very excited about this topic as well. So that will be in Luxembourg, possibly at the start of December. So that's it really in terms of the next dates and the organisation and the practical things. I want to just end by thanking the team here, Pascal, Alain, all the colleagues really from your team. You've been harvesting all these messages. You took copies of everything we did yesterday. Our colleague Jan Holen has been busy taking notes, so we'll have the difficult task of compiling this all together and not overwhelm with key messages, but really have them very focused. So thank you very much. It's been such a pleasure to work with you. Thanks to Constantine, who's really kicked the whole thing off and worked with you on the early versions of the agenda. It's been a true pleasure to work with you all. And I just have a small gift for the team, for the Café des Collègues.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. So thank you very much, and safe travel to everyone. We'll be hanging around here for a while. I plan to go with Annika to visit the fair. If anybody's still here, we'll be here for a couple of hours.
Sorry, I would like to leave the microphone to Clarisse, who is coming urgently from a meeting, and she wanted to say a farewell word.
Well, little words. I just would like to, of course, to thank you all, the European Commission, the experts, the stakeholders, the French team of the ministry, for coming, for attending this peer learning activity on digital resources for education during these 2 rich days of work. And I hope, but not exactly, I'm sure that you had the opportunity to discuss, to exchange a lot of things, exchange experience. You have the opportunity to learn about different approaches on the role of digital resources in learning and in acquiring key competencies for the 21st century. And I'm convinced that this PLA allows you to be inspired. I am very inspired really by innovative and relevant practices. So I really wish you come back home with useful ideas, useful guidelines to implement in your national systems and in your countries. And I also hope you enjoy yesterday night the cruise river, and you enjoy your stay in Paris. So of course you are welcome to regress, to come back another year maybe. So thank you very much for this great peer learning activity. Thank you.